Good evening, everybody. How are you guys doing? Are you ready to talk about personal statements or statements of purpose? I can never tell the difference, and I don't think you can either. If you feel like there's a difference, everyone knows you're lying. Are you guys ready to discuss? Don't forget letter of motivation. Yeah, let's muddy the waters even more. So we have a statement of purpose, we have a personal statement, we have a letter of motivation. What else do we have? Just a bunch of a personal history statement. Okay, there you go. Let's try to muddy the waters as much as possible. So, how is everybody doing? Are you guys doing okay? Pooja says, do they mean all the same? I mean, Pooja, in my opinion, they all seem kind of similar. I guess in the eyes of admissions consultants and admissions committees, they're a little bit different. I'm not really sure. So actually, that's a good segue. I am by no means an expert on this topic. I told you guys this story before. I was rejected from UCLA despite having very, very high numbers in high school. And a lot of people with numbers that were lower than mine were accepted to UCLA. And so the only thing that I can pinpoint is my personal statement was a little bit sarcastic, a little bit cheeky, maybe a bit too metaphorical, and I wonder if that just rubbed the admissions committee the wrong way. Yeah, but like I told you before, Berkeley liked it, but Berkeley's full of hippies, so maybe they found the metaphor kind of funny. And then UCLA is full of some snobbish people living in Westwood with their $4 million homes. They didn't like my metaphor. Betsy said, would you share it? Betsy, I have no idea where it is. We're talking about many, many moons ago. I have no clue where it is. KK says, do they actually read the letters or whatever they are called? I believe they do, especially for masters and PhD, because as you guys know, it seems like a lot of these programs are moving away from the GRE, at least a little bit. So that means that they have to look at something. So they're probably looking at your letters of recommendation, your personal statement, your GPA, things of that nature, whether you're willing to pay full price. You know, universities really love that. In fact, that might be the biggest thing that'll get you into a university. Are you willing to pay full price? If so, welcome aboard. 50 grand a year, what a steal. Rahul says, guys, when will this SOP class start? Rahul, I thought we started it like 5 minutes ago. Oh, let me infer. Are you saying that Greg, stop bullshitting and get to the point? Okay, I'll do my best. All right, so how do you guys feel about statement of purposes and personal statements? How do you guys feel about them? They're annoying. Betsy, I think I agree with you a little bit. They are daunting. Pooja, yeah. Yeah, I know that feeling. What else? I hate talking about myself. Gabrielle said that. They are not specific. I'm not sure what that means, KK. It's hard to summarize everything into 2 pages, Betsy says. Jenny says they're mysterious. Liz says, I hate having to sell myself. Nylia says, anything to showcase my winning personality. And then Tandy, with a hot take, says, they're for colleges to convince themselves they're anything more than just a business. Boom! Should we get the hot take GIF? Hot take GIF or GIF on the board here? So Tandy with the hot take. So if universities are nothing more than just a business, why are we so addicted to attending them? I'm giving a hot take to your hot take. Jyoti says, cuz society. Arpan says, job, J-O-B. Liz says, capitalism, laughing my ass off. You can tell I don't have much content for this class because I'm just reading the chat box. Let's just read the chat box for 30 minutes. Because I'm not really sure what we're going to discuss here. Okay. All right, so I've already given you my caveat. I'm not an expert on this whatsoever, but unlike an admissions consultant, I'm only $5 a month, whereas those admissions consultants are like $5,000 to $10,000 for the entire package. Do I think it's worth $5,000 to $10,000? I certainly do not, but I also don't think getting food delivered is worth it either, and a lot of people do that. All right, let's get into it, everybody. Okay, so what is this class going to be about, this dedicated class? So in this class, we're going to talk about, follow the directions. Follow the directions. In the second class, we're going to talk about organizing your composition. In the third class, we're going to talk about be honest, be vulnerable. In the fourth class, we're going to talk about it's not really about you. So I know a lot of you guys complained, I hate talking about myself, I hate trying to sell myself. In my opinion, the personal statement or the statement of purpose is not really about you. And we'll talk about that in class number 4. In class number 5, we're going to talk about utilizing powerful writing techniques. So I'm going to teach you a few writing techniques that make your essay come across as a little bit more powerful, a little bit stronger, a little bit more emotional maybe. And then finally, for class number 6, which is our final class, we're going to talk about proofread, proofread, proofread. Sound good, everybody? So how many classes are we looking at here? We're looking at 6 classes. We're going to do 2 of them a week. So we'll be done in 3 weeks, right after everyone's application is due. So this class will not be that useful. We should have done it last month. I'm sorry. All right. Do we have any questions? Muntaha says, are there any special guidelines about statement of purpose for PhD? What do you guys think? I have my opinion about this question. What do you guys think? Are there any special guidelines for a PhD statement of purpose? Maybe give Muntaha some advice in the chat box. Anything that can delay the start of this class. More detail. Ritika, how much are you charging for that advice? Well, you guys are not helping me out in the chat box at all with the advice. Ritika says nothing is free. Betsy says we can do more Q&A. Okay. All right, so in my opinion, if you're doing a statement of purpose for a PhD, if you're not talking mostly about research and literature and expanding the literature, then I think you're really hurting your ability to get into a PhD program. With the master's program, you can kind of get away with it a little bit. You can talk about your pet dog. You can talk about, what inspires you. But in a PhD personal statement or statement of purpose, it should mostly be revolving around research, in my opinion. Yeah. Okay, so it seems like a lot of people in the chat box agree with that. Okay. All right, guys, we have a question from Rahul. Hey, Rahul. Oh, Rahul, you there? Rahul? No? Was it an accident? Okay, no worries. All right, everybody, let's get into it. So in the first class, we are going to talk about follow the directions. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you don't follow the directions, if you don't do what is asked, then it sends the wrong message to the admissions committee and, of course, in my opinion. Now, the reason why I'm saying this in such a condescending fashion, follow the directions, is because, in my experience, does everyone follow the directions with a statement of purpose? No. In my experience, they don't. And much like having a spelling mistake or a grammar mistake in your CV or your resume or in your statement of purpose, if you can't even follow a relatively simple set of instructions, does it bode well for your chances to be admitted to the program? I would say it hurts them. So what that means is we're going to spend an entire hour focusing on this topic. That's how important it is. You have to follow the directions. So let's look at an example prompt, everybody. So here's an example prompt. And what I want you to think is, what exactly are we supposed to do here? Okay, everyone take about a minute and think about this. Okay, so those of you who are in my other classes, what is the best way to demonstrate that you understand something? To rephrase it, right? To rephrase it. So can somebody raise their hand and tell me what exactly are they asking you here? And please don't just read to me. What exactly are they asking you to do? I know it seems like a relatively simple question, but it is important. Hey, Anakul, how are you?
Hi, Greg. Good morning.
Morning.
So, oh, sorry, it's your evening.
Oh, it's okay.
And
No worries.
so, I guess what the question asks you is to sort of enlist your motivations behind being a physical assistant.
Right, and by motivations, you just mean reasons, right?
Yeah, reasons.
Very
Yeah.
good. Okay, good job, Anakul. So I wanted to start you guys off with a softball. If you're writing about the history of PA programs, is that a good response? Are you following the directions? If you write about why you want to attend that university, are you following the directions? No. If you write about the salary that a physician assistant receives, are you following the directions? Yes, you are. Yes, you are, everybody. You want to be a physician assistant because it has a good salary. Now, does that mean it's a good personal statement? No. Class number 3, everybody. Class number 3. But at the same time, at least you're following the directions. So, what you have to do with this prompt is list out reasons or one reason why you want to pursue this career path. Should you talk about your past? Maybe a little bit. A little bit. As long as when you talk about your past, it's developing what idea? It's developing the reason. The entire thing of this composition should be about here's the first reason why I want to be a physician assistant. Here's the second reason. Here's the third reason. Here's the fourth reason. So we're going to do an exercise, everybody. Obviously, not all of you guys are going to be physician assistants, right? However, you're going to be something. So in the chat box, tell me what kind of career you're trying to get into. Is it an economist? Is it a doctor? Is it a lawyer? What is it? Okay, elementary school teacher, public policy economist, investment banker, epidemiologist, researcher, healthcare management. So you guys are about to do some reflection right now. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Think about the reasons why you want to enter the career you want to enter. And I mean, really think about it. Okay? I'll give you guys a minute. No, actually, this is so important. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Okay. Can I have a volunteer? Somebody raise your hand, tell us the career you're going into, and tell us the reasons why. I want to see if you're following the directions. All right, we have a volunteer from Jenny. Hey, Jenny.
Hi, Greg.
So, what career are you interested in going into?
Epidemiology.
Okay, and I don't know what that is. Can you explain it? I'm not even joking. I have no idea what that is.
Sure. It's the study of the distribution of diseases. It can be infectious or chronic illnesses.
So, that is very topical. Did 2020 spark your interest in this?
No, I have my MPH and now I want to get my PhD.
What's an MPH?
Master's in Public Health.
Okay, so why do you want to be an epidemiologist? Give me maybe 2 or 3 reasons.
Okay. Number one, now that I've been working in research, I want to expand my skill set. Number two,
Let me stop you.
yeah.
You can expand your skill set in every single career known to man. So are you following the directions of why you want to be an epidemiologist?
No.
No. Oh, I told you this is harder than you think it is, everybody.
Yeah.
So again, can you be maybe a little bit more specific? What do you mean by skill set? And it has to be unique to epidemiologists, at least somewhat unique.
Yeah. Particularly research.
But can't you
And
do that in like a million other fields?
that's true, but what I'm interested in is studying particular illnesses that affect marginalized populations.
Okay, there you go. To me, that's a good answer. The first reason why I want to be an epidemiologist is to expand the literature about how illnesses affect marginalized populations.
Okay.
Right? Don't you think that sounds a lot more powerful?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the second reason?
Well, that was number two.
Okay, that was number 2. Okay. Okay, then let's focus on the skill set then. Do you mean enhance your skills as it relates to medical research? Because I think that would be a better answer than just research.
Yes.
Okay, can you be even more specific than that? What does medical research entail?
Well, not specifically medical research, but in terms of the statistical models. So right now I just have the basics. I want to get the more advanced skills.
I feel like that is the reason why you want to get a PhD, not the reason why you want to be an epidemiologist. Because
That's true.
because that's what I mean. That's why it's so difficult sometimes to answer these questions, because I'm not saying your answer is wrong. It's certainly not wrong, but it's quite general. Like for example, an economist, whenever he or she gets his or her PhD, they're going to learn those statistical models the same as you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give me one more reason why you want to be epidemiologist?
Well, if we're sticking with the skill set, I guess it would be learning more about survival analysis, which is an essential skill for epidemiologists.
Okay. Yeah, I like that answer better than the more general ones. Okay. Thank you so much, Jenny, for volunteering. Again, I'm not an expert. Take any advice I give you with a grain of salt.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's go to Shreya. Hey, Shreya.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, so what is your career?
So I want to continue being a software engineer, and
Okay.
that
And
is
what are
why.
your reasons why?
Okay, so majorly because I want to be able to build scalable products and understand the in and out of every product that we use in our general life.
And when you say
Uh,
scalable products, I assume you mean software.
Correct.
Okay. So because, for example, something like yogurt could be scalable, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I
So
need software for
yeah,
that.
I probably wouldn't use the word products, but I'm interested in how software scales, that kind of thing.
Correct.
Okay, I like that. That's good. That's a good reason. Do you have another one?
Yes, and I also want to explore with the growing data sets that we have. There's a lot of data that is not getting used properly,
You
so I
mean
want to explore
big
that.
data, that kind of thing?
Yeah, big data, or you can say artificial intelligence or data science.
Okay. And when you say it's
So
not being used effectively or I want to explore it, can you be a bit more specific about that?
So there's a lot of research going on how we can. So on the colleges that I've been applying to, there are particular researcher, basically professors who are working in labs to basically design models in which everything that the companies get from people, starting from your interests, right, recommendations and everything else, they make use of it not only in ads but in actually serving you and making their product better.
Yeah, but you just told me that the data is not being used.
Correct. So a lot of data is just getting stored. So right now there is not a product per se or a model in which that major companies follow just to keep all the data that they have. So
Okay,
they
so
just
the
have it in their
second
database.
reason why you want to explore software development is to make better use of this data that's being stored.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen the movie The Social Dilemma?
I have.
Okay. Did you
Yeah,
think it was
but I
like
think
you cheered it on, right?
it's evilized. I think
It's
there are.
you were a
Right.
fan. Yeah, you're like they're doing nothing wrong, everybody.
I mean, yeah, I understand addictions and everything, but there are positive sides to it as
Oh yeah,
well.
definitely. Every documentary is definitely biased for sure. Okay. All right, Shreya, good job. Let's do one more. Let's go to Faisal. Hey, Faisal, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Pretty good. What career are you pursuing?
Uh, Now I did my undergrad in petroleum engineering, but I want to do my higher studies, PhD or master's in chemical engineering.
Okay, can you explain
So,
why?
yeah, that's the problem because I want to do it because I think the petroleum engineering field is too narrow,
Okay.
and the
The
future
problem
is
with
not
that
very.
is you're giving a negative reason of
Yeah,
why
I
you
know.
don't want to do petroleum engineering, but you're not telling me why you want to do chemical engineering.
Chemical, because one is the strong reason the topic I did my undergrad thesis.
Hmm.
It was kind of related to chemical engineering, and I was very motivated. It was like, um, I know, fluid passing through a bended channel,
Hmm.
and I thought, yeah, I can do better in this field. But the problem with myself is I'm not getting a strong reason to put on the paper.
Here's the reason. Here's the reason. I am pursuing chemical engineering because it is quite closely related to petroleum engineering, comma, meaning I have the skill set already to excel in the field, comma, but, comma, at the same time, comma, chemical engineering is a more broad field that covers a wider spectrum that allows me to explore and solve more of the world's problems. Something like that.
Oh, thank you.
Because
That's a
you know
nice
you have to
one.
be you have to be careful here. You cannot just say I want to pursue chemical engineering because it's more broad. Every field is more broad than petroleum engineering. So why aren't you doing English literature? English literature is of course a great field that is broad, but the reason is you have no skill set in it. All of your skill set is petroleum engineering, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
closely related to chemical engineering. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay,
One thing. One thing. Hello.
sure.
Why can I find this recorded class in which section?
I
For
don't
the
know
recorded
yet.
class.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
We don't know yet. We'll put it up on. I think we're going to make a new personal statement page. You can find it up there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, everybody. Good job. Good job. Now, as you can see, following directions is harder than you think it is, isn't it? Right? Like, for example, if it says, why do you want to be a physician assistant? And I say, I'm bored in my current job and I just have no freedom in my current job and et cetera, et cetera. Am I explaining why I want to be a PA? Or am I explaining why I hate my job? I'm explaining why I hate my job. Does everyone understand this distinction? Does everyone get it? I'll give you another example. Let's imagine you are getting older. This is just an example. I'm not talking to anybody specific, and you are not married. Okay? And you meet a guy or a woman, and the guy or woman is okay. They're not great. They're okay. And somebody says, why do you want to marry this guy or woman? And you say, well, I'm getting older, and I had some bad experiences with other guys, and I want to have children before it gets too late, and my parents are getting older. They always remind me they want grandchildren all the time. Are you explaining why you're into this guy or this woman? No. Right? So that's my point. Yeah, following directions is harder than you think it is. Okay? Let's move on. All right, here's another prompt, everybody. Prompt number 2. So this one is a little bit more complicated. It says that the essay must be typed, double-spaced, and a maximum of 3 pages. Discuss your career plans and goals, the influence of your work and school experience on them, and why it is important for you to undertake this graduate program at this time. So everyone, I'm going to give you about 1 to 2 minutes to think about this, and then I'll take a volunteer to rephrase it. Okay? Okay, can I get a volunteer to kind of rephrase this prompt for me? Let's go with Anakul. Hey, Anakul, how are you?
Hi, Greg. I'm good. So, I think the question is trying to ask the the goal that you have in mind with your plan and whatever with your career.
Can you
Like, what's
rephrase
the
that
end of
for
the
us? Yeah, rephrase that for us.
yeah, like what's the end of the tunnel for you? Like currently, if you are at a journey, like what do you see? Where do you see yourself at
I see
with that?
myself as a grandfather with 15 children. Would that be
No,
a good
like
answer?
no, in your professional life,
Okay.
obviously.
Okay, so it has to be about the career, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And now, are these things I've achieved already or I haven't achieved?
These things are things that you have not achieved yet, but
Mm-hmm.
you're still in the process of doing it.
Okay, sounds good. Okay,
Like you
next.
you're like you're almost there, but
Mm-hmm.
there are a few things that you need to set in line.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
What's the next thing
And
that I need to mention?
yeah, they're asking you to corroborate it with the right kind of experiences that shaped you to in this direction,
Does it
or
say shape you?
not shaped, but directed you,
Does it say
um,
that?
like turned your head towards it, probably. Because it says that the influence of your work and school experience
Look at the
on
word
them.
them. The word them is quite important.
Yeah.
So you keep saying the word you, how the work and school experience has shaped me, but that's not what
Okay,
they're
no,
asking
yeah.
me. What are they asking me?
For the plans, for the goals.
Exactly. Be very careful with this, right? If you talk
Yeah.
about, hey, my work has really shaped me, it made me into a better man, now I can communicate much better with people, now I'm more confident, I dress nicer, would that be good answers?
No, they
No,
won't.
right? So you actually have to talk about how your work and school influenced your goals and your plans. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then what's part number 3?
It is that, yeah, why is it very important for you to take this program at this point of time in your life right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like why do you think it will sort of accelerate your growth, or it's the only thing that it's the one thing that you think that will really take you closer to achieving those targets and goals for yourself?
I mean, it seems like this third part almost has like a time element to it.
Yeah,
Which
the urgency.
means an urgency. That's kind of what I'm looking for. It seems like they want you to explain, why do you feel like this is pressing or urgent right now? So, like, why can't you do this in 5 years? Why couldn't you do it 5 years ago? So, if you're not mentioning that time element, I think you're kind of missing the topic.
Yeah.
Okay, good job. Thank you, Anukul.
I just have one question.
Sure.
So, with the third part, the urgency of it. What if what I feel right now for my answer, it's something that's coming from a very honest place, but what if it's too profound?
Okay,
And
can you
like
give
it's
me the
something that
example? Mhm.
might. So for me, like my career plans are sort of motivated by sustainability, and like even though I want to go into data sciences, but a lot of my sort of the reason I want to go to a university right now is because I want to explore different like being in a university, because there will be different departments and different domains. I can sort of expand my
Can't you do that 10 years from now?
no. So the reason for that is because right now, the place where I'm at, like in my professional life, I don't see anything leading me to sustainability. And like the clock's running out on us, and with so much data and everything with us,
You need to explore more the idea that the clock is running out on us. What do you mean by that? I think that's the better answer.
with the world, like currently we're at a situation
We're at a
where we
tipping
need
point.
yeah, we're at a tipping
Write
point where if we
that.
don't.
Write that. Not everything you said before. Write that.
Okay.
Say, the reason I want to do this graduate program at this time is because I'm afraid that in 10 years the world will be a different place. I'm afraid that we'll go past the tipping point. I'm afraid that I won't be able to contribute in my own small way because 10 to 15 years down the line, the world is going to be drastically different for the worse. Something like that.
Yeah, that's actually the main reason, but will it be like something too idealistic?
You're talking to a bunch of academics, 99% of which believe in global warming. What do you think?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Good odds.
Yeah. Make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Good job. All right. We have a question from KK. Hey, KK. Ooh, KK put his hand down. Hey, KK.
Hello.
Hi, Greg. I'm
Hey, KK. Sorry, Sai. I clicked on your name by accident. Hey, KK.
Can you hear me?
Yep. What's up?
So I have a question regarding why it is important for you to undertake this graduate program. Can I write about how my undergrad experience made me witness like all the potential I have, and I wish to build on that with
Nah,
this
seems too
graduate
generic.
program?
Seems too generic.
No. So I will supplement that by saying that there is this professor in your university, and I like his work. I've used his or her work before, and I wish to work with or collaborate with people of such kind. Can I
I
say
mean,
that?
I think it's okay, but I'm not very persuaded, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to really avoid these generic statements, you know. In my undergrad, I learned the power of friendship. You know, in my undergrad, I learned, you know, the importance of research. I know for you it might not be empty air. I'm not trying to attack anybody, but of course it's not about what the reality is. It's about what people think of your reality. And if they read just a bunch of generic statements, they're not going to be overly persuaded. But if they read instead, honestly, in my opinion, in 10 years, sustainability might not be a viable career option. The world might have reached a tipping point. I want to contribute in my own small way, before that happens. Something like that. All right, let's take a question from Sai and then we'll move on. Hey, Sai.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, you there?
So my question, it is to Anukul's question, but hi,
Hey.
Greg. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think your
Hello?
mic is having some issues. Oh, okay. Sai, I think your mic is having some issues. All right, let's go ahead and move on to prompt number 3, everybody. So here is prompt number 3. It says, please upload a statement of 500 to 1,000 words explaining why you are applying to Yale for graduate study. Describe your research interest and preparation for your intended fields of study, including prior research and other relevant experiences. Relate how the faculty, research, and resources at Yale would contribute to your future goals. Everybody take about a minute or two to think about this, and then I'll take a volunteer to rephrase it. Okay, can I take a volunteer? What is it? What are the key takeaways from this prompt? All right, we have Vedant. Who Vedant? Hey Vedant, how you doing?
Hi, Greg.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Yeah, yeah, I'm fine. I guess they're asking for the level of foundation you have.
Okay, what
Um,
phrase says foundation?
Maybe your research interests and preparation for your intended fields of study.
So I would be careful here because if you talk about your foundation, you could talk about elementary school or middle school, and that is not really what they're asking you here. So you want to be very careful with the way you rephrase this. If it is true they're asking about your preparation, but very specifically your preparation for your intended field of study. So
Yeah.
what is your intended field of study?
It's computer science.
Yeah, so when you talk about the preparation you've done, you cannot mention algebra class or calculus or elementary or your GPA. What do you need to mention?
Yeah, I mean programming.
Yeah,
Programming
programming.
skills.
I've spent 10 years with Python, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, they definitely they definitely want to talk about your foundation, but your foundation very specifically for your intended field of study. Okay? And now what about this one, research interest? What are they trying to get there?
Maybe they're trying to tell how do you feel about that subject, or maybe what do you want to contribute in that field of study?
Exactly, yeah. And whenever you talk about this, are you going to talk about problems that have already been solved, or are you going to talk about things on the bleeding edge of the knife? Which one are you going to talk about?
The bleeding edge.
Yeah, if you talk about some kind of problem that's already been solved, and you say, hey, I really want to explore blah, 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 but blah, blah, blah has already been solved, then again, it's going to kind of weaken your personal statement, right? Okay, good job. What do they mean by relevant experiences? What do they mean by that?
Maybe your work experience.
Related to your field of study or just in general?
Yeah, related to your work field of
Exactly,
study.
right? So you're not going to talk about your ability to communicate well with your boss, right? That's not what they're talking about here. Okay, and then finally, look at the last part. The last part's very, very, very important. Relate how the faculty, research, and resources at Yale would contribute to your future goals. Can you rephrase that for us? What does that mean?
They are basically trying to even look for how much research you have on that university, and if you know the faculty is working there, the kind of work goes there.
So
and how
a
it would help
personal
you.
statement that doesn't talk about Yale, doesn't talk about the teachers at Yale, doesn't talk about the research topics at Yale or the resources available at Yale, would it be a good essay or a bad essay?
It would be a bad essay.
It would be a bad essay. Now, there's another part here that you cannot forget. Do you see where it says how they would contribute to your future goals? So you cannot just say, oh, Yale is amazing. I love Yale. Yale has a great library. This professor is awesome. I would love to meet this professor. He's amazing. If you say any of that stuff, you're not answering the question. You actually have to talk about how the faculty will help you in your professional career, how the research at Yale will help you in your professional career, and how the resources at Yale will help you in your professional career. If you don't get into specifics about that, it's going to be a relatively weak personal statement. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you so much, Vedant.
Yeah.
All right. Does that make sense to everybody? You have to talk about Yale, but you can't talk about Yale generally speaking. You can't talk about, oh, the faculty are so nice and the faculty are so engaging and they have a really nice library and it has a beautiful campus. All of that would hurt your hurt your personal statement. You have to talk about how all of those things develop your career. Now, is that an easy thing to do? No, that is not an easy thing to do, which means you actually have to do significant research about Yale. Like, let's say, for example, you're really into artificial intelligence, for example. Maybe Yale has a computer science lab that focuses specifically on artificial intelligence. Should you mention it or don't mention it? You should mention it. Should you highlight things that are one of a kind or things that Yale shares with other universities? One of a kind, because again, You're choosing Yale. You're highlighting Yale from all the other universities. So you can't just say a bunch of generic stuff. So as you can see, this is quite a difficult personal statement. Yeah, it's not that easy, because it means you actually have to do significant research on Yale specifically. But if you pull it off, you now go to Yale. And for the rest of your life, you get to go to parties and say you went to Yale. Imagine that. Where'd you do your undergrad? Oh, I did it at Berkeley. Oh, did you get a master's? Yeah. Where? Yale. Yeah, just a little school called Yale. Have you heard of it? Think about it. You'll be the hit of every party once COVID is over. All right, Arpan has a question. Hey, Arpan.
Hey there, Greg. So I actually had a question about the second line, which is like, describe your research interest and preparation for your intended field of study. So for someone like who is not yet sure and may also plan for going in some management studies for their masters. So like in this area, what do we actually portray so that we gain an advantage over the application?
Well, I think you have some soul searching to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think you have some soul searching to do, because you cannot say, I want to go to Yale because Yale is great, or Yale has a great name, or Yale is an Ivy League school. All of that stuff is going to come across very hollow, right? It's going to come across very hollow. So what that means is, before you even write this, I would do some pretty significant soul searching and try to find out what exactly it is you're looking for.
Yep. So like, for example, like if I want to apply for a master's in management in the Yale University, so like over there, like how do I target this research interest? Because like there is not much research scope in the management section.
You can focus on the faculty, like the business faculty, and maybe they've done research in management and things of that nature. But whatever you do, it's going to require research. Like I said, this prompt is not that easy, because let's say, for example, you're interested in getting a master's in management. Maybe it'll be quite difficult to show how Yale faculty research and resources can benefit your career in management. I'm not saying it would be easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
So like, do I just like check do I go in depth of the background of Yale and how it will help me, like if I take a course in master's in management and try to explain like why.
Yeah, exactly.
The ideal college.
Try to find some specifics about how Yale and only Yale can help you in your future goal. Yeah.
And so like another like follow-up question, a small question I had, which is like, for example, like other colleges like Yale have the same kind of resources. So like in that situation, how do I explain Yale that like it's one of a kind for my acceptance in the college?
Research. Exactly. That's my point. Like I said, nobody enjoys writing these. If you have other prompts that are about Yale, Harvard, Berkeley, UCLA, and they all ask you the same question, guess how many universities you are researching? You're not researching one university, you're researching 4. And the more in-depth the research is, the better. If you just say some kind of generic throwaway comment, I'm really impressed with UCLA's computer science lab, and it's just kind of a generic, statement. And then in the next one you say, I'm really impressed with Yale's computer lab. And the next one you say, I'm really impressed with Harvard's computer lab. It's gonna come across as a little bit hollow, in my opinion. Okay, let's go ahead and take another question from Rishi. Hey, Rishi.
Hi, Greg. Can you hear me?
I can barely hear you. Can you get closer to your microphone?
Hello.
Yep, I can hear you.
So I just wanted to ask, like at some level, we have to personalize our SOP for every university.
Well, it obviously has to be a balance, because if you personalize it for every university, each one's going to take 6 hours, and nobody has time for that, right?
Yeah, so at some level, like a paragraph maybe.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Personalize a paragraph, not the entire composition.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Okay, let's look at another prompt here. All right, let's take a look at this one. The statement of purpose should concisely address the following in your own words: your personal, educational, and professional background, your motivation to seek an MPP degree and why you wish to study at UCLA, and the specific skills and questions you hope to explore in the program. Please be as specific as possible. Remember I told you, do they like the generic statements? Remember I told you that? These universities do not really like generic statements, right? Your statement may be up to 800 words. Please see guide for tips on how to write your statement of purpose. Unlike the statement of purpose, the personal history statement, so this is another one, is a chance to provide a more narrative description of your background outside of your research interests. While not specifically evaluated by the faculty, this statement provides the opportunity to share more about yourself in your application and may be used for certain diversity-based fellowship consideration. This should be limited to 500 words. Okay, everybody, take about 2-3 minutes. I want you to break down both of these prompts. Okay, so I'll go ahead and break this one down. So this one, as you can see, is a mouthful. So number one, does UCLA want a bunch of flowery language and florid language, and do they want a nice, cool metaphor from an 18-year-old? Do they want this stuff? No. Do you see the word concisely? They put that there for a reason. So this statement of purpose, should it be business-like or should it be kind of like experimental? What do you guys think? It should be very, very business-like. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, you have to talk about your personal, educational, and professional background. Now, what that means, personal, you talk about your family, where you grew up. Educational, you talk about the schools you went to. And then professional, you talk about any jobs or internships. You have to mention all three of those. Number two, the reason why you want to get an MPP, is that public policy? I'm not sure. You want to get an MPP degree and why you wish to study at UCLA. This is a twofold question, everybody. Number one, why are you even interested in public policy? Why do you want to do this career? Number two, why do you want to do it at UCLA? Right? You can do an MPP degree anywhere. Why UCLA? Then they ask you to give these specific skills and questions, not only the skills, the questions as well, that you want to explore in the program. Notice, does it say skill or does it say skills? It says skills, plural. Does it say question or does it say questions? It says questions, plural. And are these skills that you already have or don't have yet? Read it carefully. These are skills that you don't have. And the reason I know that is because of the word explore. Now, maybe you have these skills to a small degree, but what they want you to talk about is how you want to develop them at UCLA. Okay. And then finally, do you see where it says, please see the guide for tips on how to write your statement of purpose? Should you ignore this advice or should you follow it? Oh, they don't know what they're talking about. They're going to love this metaphor. Imagine an 18-year-old Greg writing to UCLA saying, oh, they're going to love this. Did they love it? Nope. Nope, they did not. In fact, the personal statement annoyed them so badly that despite my high numbers, they ended up rejecting me. Not even waitlisting me, rejecting me. And to this day, I'm still salty about it. Okay, prompt number 2. Unlike the statement of purpose, which means it should be the same or it should be different. It should be different. The personal history statement is a chance to provide a more narrative description. What do they mean by narrative description? Story, everybody. They mean tell a story. So in the personal history statement, can you tell a chronological story? Yes or no? Yes, you can. Can you start with that interesting time that you tripped in front of everybody and then your pants fell down and it was the most embarrassing moment of your life, but then you realized that you had a dream to be a public policy person because of that event? Sure, why not? If you want to. Okay, this is the opportunity to do that. Can you experiment with writing here? Can you experiment? Yes. And then finally, here's the key. Are you going to talk about what makes you different or what makes you the same? Different. Do you see the word diversity based? If you are a minority, this is the place where you talk about the struggles of that. If you are a woman in a male-dominated field, this is the opportunity to talk about that. If you are from India and from a lower caste and the struggles of that, this is the opportunity to talk about that. If you are an American white guy and you went to Afghanistan to war, this is the opportunity to talk about that. You have to use this opportunity to talk about what makes you different. Okay? And then finally, do I have to do this? What do you think? It says it's optional, right? Oh, does it say it's optional? Maybe not. Looks like we do have to do it. Yeah. And it says it's not even going to be evaluated by the faculty, which is kind of interesting. This statement provides to share more about and may be used for certain diversity-based fellowship. Okay. So if you have something that doesn't make you different, like me, I'm just a kind of a boring white dude. I really don't have much to talk about. Do I want to make up some kind of diversity thing? Yes or no? Do I want to talk about my 3% Native American blood and talk about the struggles of that? No. It's going to come across as very hollow and very almost condescending. So no, don't do that. So if you're someone who doesn't really bring much to the diversity table, such as myself, just focus on the first parts. Focus on the narrative description of your background, outside of your research interests, stuff like that. Okay, any questions about these two prompts? The first prompt is very business-like. The second prompt is very kind of a more experimental narrative type thing. Okay, we good? Oh, we have a question from Yasmin. Hey, Yasmin.
Hi, Craig. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. I have a quick question, but it could be obvious. For the first prompt, is it okay to kind of mix the order of the questions? Just to
Would I do it? No. But again, I'm not an expert. Me, I would literally go in order, is what I would do. Like I said, this is a very business-like statement of purpose. To me, it seems like UCLA doesn't want us to play around here. They want us to just follow the directions, get in, get out.
Okay. Even if that's going to affect the story?
Do they want you to tell a story in the first essay?
No.
In my opinion, no. If you talk about the time you tripped in front of everybody and how it, sparked your interest in public policy, no. To me, this is not the place for that.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
All right, let's go to Sai. Hey, Sai, you have a question? Oops, Sai, you put your hand down. Hey, KK, you have a question?
Yeah, I do. So this might sound a little stupid, but how do you start something like this?
Literally, I would start with number 1.
No. Like the first sentence, should I start with an anecdote or should I just say in 2016?
I would not start with an anecdote. I would literally get into my personal, educational, and professional background. Growing up in California and attending, some blah, blah, blah schools, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Hey, Sai, question?
Yeah, yes, Greg. So it's the common question we have. So how are these prompts given by the university, or can we follow any prompts, or
they're given by the university.
Okay.
Like, do you remember that one from Yale? That one from Yale?
Okay. And one more question I have is about the details. In the previous prompt, you have said work experience and research we did, right? So regarding that, actually, my work experience, due to my work, I got the interest to pursue masters. So how do I emphasize that? But my undergrad is in another field of study, and I did not have any interest to pursue masters then, but I got interest when I'm doing my work. So how do I?
I think a lot of us are trying to get into the specifics about my own personal situation, which is fine. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. But remember, the purpose of this class is to really just ask, are you answering the question? That's it. So for example, if the question is, why do you want to be a doctor? And I wrote, I want to be a doctor because they have a high salary. Did I answer the question? I want to be a doctor because I want to earn a high salary, and I heard that you can easily get dates if you're a doctor. You walk into a bar and say, yeah, I'm a doctor, and it's great. Did I answer the question? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Now, is that a good answer? The answer is no. But before you can ask yourself whether you have a good answer or a bad answer, don't you have to actually ask yourself the question, did I follow the directions? Think of it as a step-by-step process. Step number 1, did I answer the question? Yes. Then you can move on to step number 2. Step number 2 is my essay organized? Yes. Move on to step number 3. Step number 3 would be something to the effect of, is my answer a good answer? Maybe no. So what I'm encouraging everybody to do here is follow the process. Just first ask yourself, am I actually answering the question? And then in subsequent classes, we can answer the question of whether your answer is good or not good. Does that make sense? It's a very procedural kind of thing. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Okay, let's take sorry, I can't talk because of braces, but can you tell what to write specific if someone doesn't have work experience? Again, you guys are kind of getting into the specifics of individual situations. I want you to take a more like 50,000 feet in the air view, which is, did I answer the question? Did I answer the question? And if the answer is yes, then we can move on to step 2, step 3, step 4, stuff like that. Okay? Whenever you guys get too focused on your own situation, I think we have a tendency to not answer the question, because we get into kind of that storytelling mode where we just tell a story. But many of these prompts are not asking us to tell a story. Like if you look at the first UCLA prompt here, are they asking us to tell a story? No. They're asking us very specifically, what is your personal, educational, and professional background? Why do you want to be public policy? Why do you want to go to UCLA? What skills and what questions do you hope to develop in the UCLA program? And then finally, be as specific as possible. Follow those directions. And then if you do follow those directions, we can determine whether your answers are good or not so good. Okay, I'll take one more question, then we'll call it a day. Hey, Priyanka.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Okay. So a question regarding the faculties that you write. So mostly, like, it's obviously no one shares their SOP to read, but I've read a couple of them, and they mostly talk about only one faculty. So is it fine if we talk about more than one faculty? And at times there are a few colleges, it's like the faculty is not really what you want to do. So how do you
Yeah,
go
I think
about?
it's okay to talk about a few faculty, but it cannot be bullshit. I think a lot of times we get into this habit of, oh, if I mention 2 professors' names or 3 professors' names, it's going to read better than it would with only one professor's name. I think the thing that reads the best is genuine answers that actually answer the question. So if you are genuinely intrigued by one faculty member at a specific university and the other ones you're not really familiar with, and you've read that person's work, you've read, his or her 5 research articles, et cetera, I would only talk about one in that case. If you're genuinely interested in more than one, then I would talk about more than one.
Yeah. I mean, I was wondering if it makes us sound uncertain, like it's fine if I get this or that one.
You certainly don't want to give off that impression, but it's okay to give off the impression that you're interested in more than one thing.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, so you don't want to say, it's okay if I'm a dentist, it's okay if I'm a doctor, I don't really care, they both have a high salary. That's going to read pretty badly. But if you say, I'm very interested in how the fields of dentistry and medical science intersect, and as such, I would be willing to pursue both paths or either path. To me, I think that reads better.
I get it. Yeah.
Make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right, guys, I hope you found this useful. Again, caveat, I am not an expert in this by any means whatsoever. So if you are an admissions consultant charging people $5,000 to $10,000, first of all, why are you charging so much? That's kind of exorbitant, and I don't agree with it. And number 2, if you disagree with anything I say, then I'm not surprised because I'm not an expert in this field. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.